Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
Good evening, everyone. A little bit of a misfire here on the start of the program. First of all, let me fix this. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to fix. The next thing we're going to fix is the channel that is not running. It didn't catch. So bear with me while I take care of this. Sorry about the clunky start to the program here tonight. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Some fun stuff. We have the election in Russia to talk about. Let me just grab this thing here first of all. Okay, I am fixing this on the fly. The main Rumble channel, it appears, did not catch. So we will reset that. Rumble is kind of a strange platform. It's just a touch frustrating. Let's see if it's working now. Move it and add it again. And there we go. Hopefully it's working now. Is it? Is it working? I think, maybe. I think so. Let me just go over and double check this. It appears to be okay. I'm going to just drop a message into the chat. And I think we're good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart this broadcast to give you the full treatment. Okay? All right. I'm going to take my picture off here, and we're going to pretend none of this ever happened, which is appropriate because tonight we also have an installment of TRUESPIRACIES to share with you. I'll be
Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
Welcome back to the Maverick News channel. I think we have all of our technical problems fixed. Just let me know in the chat if we have any audio problems tonight. That's always possible, given the crazy stuff that's been going on here with the system. I'm just going to open the one chat here. And someone says not working. Is something not working? Are you able to see me? Are you able to hear me? Is everything okay? Let me go over here and look in the chat on the Rumble channel. I think we're running. I think. Check that. Yeah, I can hear myself over there. So yes, and it says yes across the board now. So I think we got it. Yeah, Sandy's saying Cosmo Pup, good boy. I shot some video of Cosmo the other day. I haven't had time really to put it into the computer and edit it down to what it needs to be to just show you a little Cosmo footage. I know a lot of you ask about my dog, our dog, our Freedom Pooch. So I'll do my best to get that uploaded. It's maybe sometime this week. I'll do something with him. Yeah, and Donna says Rumble is up now, so that's good news. I seem to have all the main channels functioning. So tonight, Vladimir Putin reelected in a landslide victory. Polls are still open, I believe, in Russia. But it was very clear from the beginning that Vladimir Putin would be reelected. I was on a broadcast with Kevin Michelizzi and some of his colleagues a little earlier. We're going to go to a bit of that coverage for you tonight because I know most of you probably were not watching that, didn't see it earlier in the day. So I just want to pick up a portion of that coverage for you tonight and share it with you here because it was enlightening. I think that broadcast, a lot of people were watching from all over the world, and there were quite a few contributors on that program. So I'm eager to share some of that with you tonight. It had a pretty positive vibe to it. I was privileged to be part of that, and I'd like to share it with you. Trump's bloodbath comment during his speech yesterday in Ohio, that's generating a lot of media attention. We'll try to put some perspective to that. Even Mike Pence is running to Donald Trump's defense a day after saying that he isn't endorsing him for another term in the White House. What else do I have? We have a video showing the state of affairs in AOC's neighborhood. We have also a man from New York visiting his relatives in Toronto, and he is shocked at the prices here, addressing the inflation problem. His comments, I think that gives us some new perspective on the state of the economy, and I will comment on it as well. Then we have this episode of TRUESPIRACIES coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. We're going to talk about Kris Jenner's nose is falling off. Lab monkeys are taking over a town in Georgia. We're going to talk a little bit about Scientology, Melania Trump versus Princess Diana, and Sophie Gregoire Trudeau has some, I think, less than favorable things to say about her husband, Justin, in a new book, as if things couldn't get worse for Justin Trudeau. Just when you thought, how could things get any worse for JT, as he's swarmed by mobs at every turn. Every time he shows up at any kind of an event now, you have massive protests outside. He's the prime minister everybody seems to love to hate. And now even his wife, his estranged wife, has taken out a knife and plunged it deep into his back. I will be right back after this.
Maverick News. The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
We're back, and so is Vladimir Putin for 6 more years. Reelected in a landslide. Polls, I don't think have closed over in Russia yet, but as I say, I was on a program for a short time earlier today with Kevin Michelizzi and some other journalists, live streamers, covering the election live. And it was very apparent very early on. Kevin Michelizzi called it early. He declared Vladimir Putin elected. He said it was over very early on, and it was easy to see that that was the case when he already had 80% plus of the votes coming in his favor. And I think it was, what did Kevin say? 80% of eligible voters actually cast votes at that point. So it looked like. So you have around 80% voter participation among those who are eligible to vote, at least according to the numbers that Kevin had. We also saw today, unfortunately, a series of attacks on Russia. Drone attacks, cyber attacks, attempts to hack into an online voting system, which apparently were not successful. They were able to see the attempts, but the system is secure. It is not connected to the internet. It has its own system, similar to secure computer systems used by banks to ensure the integrity of the vote. That being said, here in North America, the mainstream media, at least some of the mainstream media, predictably trying to discredit the election in Russia as being a sham. Here's CNN. You can see the tone is very negative, of course. Putin extends one-man rule. Russia's leader is set to extend his grip on power. Is the subheading here. After and these are their words, a stage-managed election devoid of credible opposition. And I used that word sham without even reading this headline prior, but here it is. Here's another headline. Opinion: Vladimir Putin's sham election. See, I knew. Russia opens criminal cases after protesters pour dye in ballot boxes and start fires with voting underway. There were protests over there. Some protests, but the voting continued. There was an attempt to, I think, have large numbers of people show up at the polling stations at noon today as an act of protest, but nothing really managed to disrupt what was going on over there. So lots of lots of people out, long lineups, not just within Russia, but also in other countries where Russians or Russian citizens are living outside the country. So they were accommodating those folks. They could vote even if they were in other countries. So there was a discussion on that as well in today's program. I'm going to bring up a short segment from the program that I was privileged to be part of earlier today. This is a section that not only I think Kevin speaks here as well, but Nata Natalia with the BRICS Journalists Association. She was out practicing journalism when there was some sort of an attack at a polling station near where she was shooting video footage. So she talks about this here, the coverage that she provided, and talks about the way voters responded, citizens responded to this attack. Let's pick up the broadcast at this point, and I think you'll find this again enlightening.
Already, Natasha, why don't you go? So who are you?
Everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Natalia. I'm from BRICS Journalists Association and also BRICS Leaders United. I think I might have pretty unique experience because I've just got back from Belgorod. And I wrote a note that we should not discuss certain things here. So we should be, like creative without phrasing.
If you can.
We've been here doing some, we have these projects, discovering BRICS without stereotypes. So we invite journalists and, they let them see Russia for themselves and show Russia, true Russia to their audiences. And we have.
Actually, I'm going to bring the clip up over here instead because I think there's an audio issue with that particular version of it.
Well,
so,
that's
a good one.
Yep. Bye-bye.
We'll pick it up here.
Since you've been speaking already, Natasha, why don't you go?
Sorry for the recue, but here's
So who are you?
Everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Natalia. I'm from BRICS Journalists Association and also BRICS Leaders United. I think I might have pretty unique experience because I've just got back from Belgorod. And I wrote a note that we should not discuss certain things here. So we should be, like creative without phrasing.
If you can.
We've been here doing some, we have these projects, discovering BRICS without stereotypes. So we invite journalists and, they let them see Russia for themselves and show Russia, true Russia to their audiences. And we had one of our journalists was a guy from Brazil. And we've been doing, different things here in Moscow, but then we saw that situation in Belgrade was escalating before the elections. So we decided that we should go, and see for ourselves what's going on. And I can say that both me and this Lucas, our journalist from Brazil, we both have this experience. We've been to Donbass, and I gotta say, one day in Belgrade was had more activities than 1 week in Donbass, pretty close to the main action, So I can say that I think we might call it. We might say that we are survivors of some situation because we have this experience that we were filming in one place, cultural place, just showing how Belgrade is an amazing city, full of culture, peaceful and all. But then half an hour later, there was a present from Ukrainian side, and it hit maybe like 20 meters from where we were filming. And we found out about this because after filming, we went to have breakfast, and there was yet another fireworks, really loud fireworks. Again, even more more intensive than in Donbass. And so we decided to go there and make a coverage. And while we were approaching the place, I was like, wait a minute, I recognized the place, like the road, and then we understood that it was just the same spot. And these presents are the ones that are filled with metal things inside. So once they, meet the ground, it's far more celebration than just in one place. Then like people maybe 100 meters around it can be get some present. Let's be creative again. So if we stayed there, if we did not go for breakfast, then maybe I wouldn't be sitting here. But what was interesting that we talked to many local people, and we were asking, like, why do you think this is happening? Is it because of the elections? And they said yes, most probably it is. But the thing is that this has been the reality of Belgrade for these 2 years, because before every major holiday, like civil holiday or church holiday, they would start receiving those presents. And we were asking, like, are there any maybe military facilities or something, like some kind of explanation why this would be happening? But they say, but no, it's like we are a peaceful city. We are not a part of this whole thing that's going on. So yeah, it's just I would not say this this word here, but you can understand though. This is
Yes.
why they are doing this. So, but Belgrade people, they show true Russian spirit, and they said that we're gonna go and vote no matter what. Like the elections will take place, and we will go and vote because this is very important. And what I heard, like I was asking, maybe you guys are a little bit, irritated. Maybe you think, the president could have did something better maybe, but they say no, like we understand the situation, and this is our kind of destiny, and we will stay here, stay in Belgrade, we will stay strong, and we will vote. So today I went voting, and I was dressed in my gel Snegurочка outfit with kokoshnik, and everyone in the election office, they were smiling. Even the policeman even took photo with me, and so they asked me, like, why. And maybe I was celebrating Maslenitsa, this blini festival, the one you have a lot of amazing videos on your channel, Joseph. So anyone who haven't seen it yet, go check shorts and videos.
You gotta see it.
Yeah. So I said, no, it's just, elections. So happy holiday. I really feel like it is a holiday, a celebration. I gotta be honest, like, there is one and only, for me at least, it's been like for more than 23 years, it's been one and only person who I fully trust, to be in charge of our country. And I was so happy to go and execute my right to vote for him. We're not mentioning the name, right? So it's okay to say like this. And it was really like a gift, I would say, because he's already not that young, and I did not know if I will ever have this opportunity to vote for him again. And I'm so excited that I had this chance. And yeah, so it does feels like holiday. Again, this is a 10 years anniversary of Crimea being back home. So tomorrow there is a huge celebration on Red Square. So maybe Joseph, you will be interested to go and see for yourself, maybe make a video. So it does feels kind of festive in the center, like music and all. So I'm really happy.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that story. It's definitely moving and sad and inspiring all at the same time, because living here, we see it on the news, what's going on. I don't know if the West sees it, but we do. So I'm glad that you shared it.
Stay safe out there, okay? God bless.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Things are pretty rough in Belgrade the last 2 years. I actually know a couple people from there, so yeah, it's a real brutal situation that people have to, at the very least, be terrified, and at the very most, be killed for the sake of a PR campaign. So,
Wow. So sad. So sad.
But can I bring some example? It's not
Please.
about election, but Belgrade thing. On our way back, we took the train, and there were lots of kids, and we talked to two kids. One was like 7 years old, and his
Mhm.
birthday happens to be December 30th. So maybe like, again, being creative with our phrasing, but there was some special present on this day last year, and many kids unfortunately left us, and this little boy, he was just, he was celebrating his birthday this day, and some of his friends, passed this day, and he was telling us about this experience, and we're just, shocked to hear this. But at the same time, his elder sister, she is 12 years old, and she told us that because we tried to talk to them, without camera, just, interesting to talk, and she said that there are a lot of people from Ukraine. Some of them moved to Belgorod area after 2014. Some of them left 2 years ago, and she told us a story that she has in their class. They have a Ukrainian guy, and there was another guy, Russian guy, who was teasing him, like saying, "Oh, you're Ukrainian." But the whole class stood, they defended this Ukrainian boy, and they said, no, he should not, should not say something like this. But that Russian guy continued teasing him, and at some point, the girl said that the whole class kind of, in Russian we say "устроить темную." So they kind of like kicked his ass and asked him, like, you never dare to, to say bad words to this boy because he's Ukrainian. So it was really, amazing to hear that even kids, being, these 2 years being under attack, they still, they do not let. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. Sorry, they don't let this. So they still defend an Ukrainian boy, and they understand that Russians and Ukrainians are one big family, and it's not about people. It's just some not really wise men on that side, on the Ukrainian side, and that it has nothing to do with just Ukrainians. We still love Ukrainians, and we still believe that we are one big family, and we are really waiting for the moment when we are all reunited. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing your heart, Natasha. I really appreciate you coming on and telling us that story and telling us how voting went for you. We'll do some more work together soon, hopefully. And if you guys want to see her now with Tim and myself, the three of us did a show recently called Russian Sympathizers, which, if you're interested in this video that you're watching live right now, you'll like that as well. It's a similar topic. Thank you so much, Natasha.
Have a good evening.
Got it.
So,
Kevin, do we have an update on anything?
Well, speaking of those regions that Natasha was just talking about, we have a 93-year-old veteran in Kherson that was voting here. This is not her.
I was going to say, wow, she looks great.
She's a veteran of the Great Patriotic War.
Wow. Wow.
За Россию, за счастье людей, за единую Россию нашу, щоб наша Херсонщина знов дожила щасливо, як бувало раніше, ще в наші годы в Совєтському Союзі. Мгм. Хватит ползать и повиснуть, и ходить в протянутой
Turn the
руке.
volume down just a little bit. But basically, they asked her what she voted for, and she said for Russia, for the happiness of people and for our native Kherson region to live happily again as it was before and during the years of the Soviet Union. I am sure we will live well with Russia and victory will be ours.
Wow. Wow. It's moving to see.
So, despite what some of our trolls in the chat had to say, people were not forced to
Ooh,
vote under
trolls.
gunpoint. Yeah.
There's
So
a
they
troll
were
in
not
the
forced to
chat.
vote at gunpoint.
No.
Yeah. I eat trolls, so I like them. So some of
keep
the
it
things
sharp.
we did have. This was actually in St. Petersburg, people dump and die in. Actually, these ballots are readable after this brilliant green is put on them. That is an antiseptic, and it actually can be wiped off, and the black ink underneath is readable by the scanners because of the properties of the ink that it's printed with. But
Mhm.
they do have to be manually calculated.
Well, yeah, because it's amazing they sort of had that in mind when making the ballots, because that stuff Zelionka has been used as a classic sort of way to torture people in a nonviolent way, because it stains your skin really strongly, and if you like throw it at someone, they'll have the mark for like a week.
Oh, wow. Very interesting.
Yeah, it really sticks in your skin for a long time, and it's hard to wash out. You kind of have to like wait for the skin to die to an extent.
Huh.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Okay.
I
All
think
right.
there was also some attack on some of the Russian representatives in 2022 in the Baltics, maybe when they
Mhm.
were representative of Russian embassy were on May 9th. They would go and commemorate the soldiers and everyone who fought in the war for our peace, and there was some activists who would throw Zelonka in their face.
Hmm.
I think Baltics or
Oh.
maybe Germany or 2022.
And also maybe meme of the year in terms of the elections was someone tried to throw a Molotov cocktail, but you chose to use a plastic bottle, and as you understand, plastic bottles don't crack and explode when thrown hard. So that's a true Russian meme for all eternity.
And Kevin, did
So
you
for the
have
younger
some?
people, it has to break. It has to be glass. So you got
Yeah.
the flammable liquid, and then you got the burning
Yeah.
rag, and it hits, and boom. If it's plastic,
Yeah.
it's not going to boom.
And Kevin, did you have some information or details on cyber attacks and drone attacks that have occurred?
Yeah, actually, I sent some information to Rick earlier today for his show tonight, but we had last night 35 drones were taken down by air defense over different regions of Russia, including Moscow. 17 were intercepted over the Krasnodar territory. So, going for the oil refineries. And we had 12,600 impacts on the internet and 4 DDoS attacks on the Central Election Committee website.
Hmm.
Voter turnout in the elections, that was much earlier today, 61%. That's when it started out today. 1,115 international observers from 129 countries. The gas election system, the CEC says it is protected and not accessible to attacks from the outside. And I may have a picture of one of these somewhere. Not all the regions are using them right now. And so what it is they have a scanner on the top of them. And when these people are trying to put this brilliant green or ink into them, the scanner actually prevents it from going down into the ballot box. And these are the newest technology that's been implemented in Crimea, many other regions. And when they put their ballot in upside down, it actually scans it and automatically tallies it at the CEC. So that's why they can get a lot of this stuff in so quickly now.
Do you know when you say that the system is not accessible to these cyber attacks, is that because the system is not connected to the wider internet? Is it secure that way, or do you know?
I have no idea.
You
Well,
don't
if
have
it's
to know
not
everything,
accessible, it
Kevin.
would have to be on some sort of different like wavelength or protocol or whatever.
Yeah, on its own
Private
intranet
network or-
system,
yeah.
right? So that it's a closed system, not connected to the internet.
Good evening, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I should say. My name is Professor Novikov. I thought I'd go ahead and butt in. Today.
Okay,
was my
so
very
we're
first day
gonna
of voting, as a matter of fact.
end that right there. And that was very informative. Then Kevin did look up that information, and indeed, the voting system is not connected to the internet. It has its own secure system. He sent me information on that, and then I did refer to that prior to running that portion of that program. You know, when it comes right down to it, it's it's like I've always said. All that really matters at the end of the day is, does my garbage get picked up on Tuesday? That's what government is there for, right? It's supposed to work for the people. And if your garbage is picked up, if the economy is functioning in a reasonably efficient manner, if people are able to live in peace, you have strong communities, good schools, people are gainfully employed, you know, and the needs of the people are being met, and you have a civil society, you have, you know, a stable community, the rule of law. You don't have chaos in the streets. If the streets are paved, you don't have a bunch of potholes. You see, that's really what it comes down to. Unfortunately, so many governments all over the world tend to get involved in so many things I think that they ought not be involved with. They extend their reach sort of beyond where they get out of their lane a little bit and start telling people how to live instead of helping them live. And that's just my view on it. So, in fact, Kevin was talking about the healthcare system with us here just the other night. Talked about how he could get an MRI done quickly if he pays $35, or he can get one and wait a little bit longer for free. Here in Canada, you know, we have issues with our healthcare system, but the point is they're making things work on their side. The more that I learn about Russia and other countries, the more I see similarities from one country to another. I don't even understand sometimes why we have these wars, why we have these conflicts between nation states, when if you really examine things, it's just people trying to live. The systems are very much the same. You go to the shopping mall and you're still getting a McBurger, you know? And then you walk down and you're still buying a pair of running shoes with a swoosh on the side. You're going next door. You're trying to save up enough money to buy that car that you want, whether it's a Hyundai or a Toyota or a Lada, whatever it might be. At the end of the day, people are just trying to live, take care of their families. People are people. Maybe we speak different languages. We maybe have different skin color. We might have different religions. But also today in the broadcast, the contributors spoke about Russia and over 200 different ethnicities, cultures living within the country. They're a multicultural society as well, but they take a different approach to some things and they make it work for them. And over here, people might say I see a lot of people saying the United States is an evil empire, or however you want to characterize it. I would say the Canadian and U.S. societies have become somewhat dysfunctional. I don't know if we're actually evil. I don't think that's necessarily the case. We're just people trying to get by, and we have governments doing some pretty stupid things. As a result, I think our systems have become a bit dysfunctional, maybe a lot dysfunctional, and we need to fix things here. That is for sure. No place is perfect. Everybody has problems. But at the end of the day, we're all just doing the best we can. Don't go away. More coming up.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. Truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Speaking of dysfunctional, Fox News posting this brief clip on X, formerly known as Twitter, and then Elon Musk is sharing this tonight. It is a video from AOC's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from her neighborhood. Take a look. Speaks for itself. Musk saying, well, Musk didn't say this. He retweeted this, saying this is like a third world country. Just junk on the street, I guess, and they're just sifting through it. It's I don't know, weird. A lot of people living on the street. A lot of homelessness, poverty even. You'd think that they could mitigate a lot of that. Also, you know, two very different views of the world. The propaganda ramps up. This is another thing that I noticed. This is like fear mongering, honestly. This was posted by Sprinter Factory, I guess. I think it's sort of they're saying this was published by Russian media, but it is clearly not true, because this is being portrayed as a video showing what a Russian nuclear attack on the United States would look like. But that's not, I'm going to run this, a little bit of it, at the risk of getting a copyright strike. because I didn't know what it was at first, but it isn't what it appears to be. I'm just going to take the audio down because the audio will probably trigger that. Okay. So this is not what it appears to be. This is from a 2009 movie, which I have not seen. It's called Knowing. You know, an apocalyptic thriller, semi-sci-fi thing. That's what it actually is. And it's a movie made in the United States. This is not a Russian depiction of what a nuclear attack on the United States would look like at all. But that's what's circulating out there. And I think it was Mario Knopfel shared it and said, do you think Putin is serious now? I think was the caption. I think it was him. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I'm just doing that from memory. But whoever it was that retweeted it, that was what they attached to it. Pretty sure it was him. Whether he knew what the real content or the source of the content was, I don't know. But that's not a Russian produced video. Also dysfunctional is the coverage of yesterday's Trump rally in Ohio. Trump took to the stage, gave his mostly standard speech, but got back into this issue on the auto industry. Now, during I'll show you first of all what the crowd looked like here. Another massive crowd, Trump supporters. So he continues to pack them in at these rallies, which have really just continued over the course of the Biden administration rule. See that guy dressed up in the suit with the red tie? That's funny. Donald Trump attire. All right, so there he is. There's the man. Okay, so there's Trump on stage. That gives you a sense of the size of the crowd. But he said that, well, here, I'm going to show you the coverage, first of all, that it's getting, okay? So let's see how the mainstream media sort of covered this. This is the headline. Trump says there will be a bloodbath if he loses the election. Subheading, Trump's comments come at a rally in Ohio as he spoke about auto manufacturing. The Biden campaign responded by criticizing the former president's, quote, threats of political violence. I'm going to run a bit of this clip.
Campaign rally in Ohio on Saturday, former President Trump promised to place tariffs on cars manufactured abroad if he's reelected, and made a dire prediction of what would happen if he is not.
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
In response to the former president's comments, a campaign spokeswoman told NBC News Biden's policies will create an economic bloodbath for the auto industry and auto workers. A spokesman for President Biden's reelection campaign later said Mr. Trump was doubling down on his threats of political violence with that bloodbath comment.
So, okay. Yeah. Well, that's not really an entirely accurate way to cover this story. Here's the unedited or like section of the speech where Trump makes this comment. Listen to what he says here.
China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. No, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories. A friend of mine, all he does is build car manufacturing plants. He's the biggest in the world. I mean, honestly, I joke about it. He can't walk across the street. In that way, he's like Biden. But for building a plant, he can do the greatest plants in the world, right? That's all he cares about. I said, I'd like to see one of your plants recently. I said, I'd like to see, where can we go? Well, we have to travel to Mexico. I said, why Mexico? He said, because that's where the big plants are building. China's building really big plants in Mexico, and Mexico's building. What about here? Well, we're building much smaller plants here. Can you believe it?
So that's what he was, that's the full context, okay? And yesterday we saw, well, just this week, I guess, we saw Mike Pence come out and say that he, even as his former vice president, will not be supporting Donald Trump in his bid for a return to the White House. But even Pence has now come out to defend Donald Trump on this attack. Frankly, that's what it is. And I think a mischaracterization of what he has been saying here about the auto industry. That's what the bloodbath comment really refers to. And Pence addresses that here.
I woke up this morning seeing online all the discussion about bloodbath. And as you've just reflected, the president was clearly talking about the impact of imports devastating the American automotive industry.
So I think it's, selective editing, a way of interpreting what was said. And I think that the coverage, honestly, from the mainstream media, misleading. Don't go away.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
We're back and talking about a dysfunctional society, a dysfunctional government. A man from New York came to visit, I think it's this weekend, his relatives in Toronto. He was shocked. Shocked, I say, when he was exposed to the prices in the stores in TO. As a result, he posted this on social media, a video that is now starting to get traction, beginning to go viral.
What the hell is going on in Canada right now? I am home visiting my parents this weekend for the holidays. I live in the West Village in New York City, the highest cost of living yuppie area ever in the history of the United States. I am never shocked when I get a dinner bill. I'm never shocked when I go on vacation. Nothing phases me. I've traveled all over the world. Tell me why I come home to Newmarket, Ontario, the suburbs of Toronto, and I'm shocked at the cost of living here. How are Canadian people making it work? Everybody involved with the economy right now needs to be fired immediately. We need to contact the UN and get a binding resolution here. Something sinister is going on in Canada, and I'm determined to get to the bottom of it.
Well, it is very apparent what is going on if you really understand how the system works. As far as the rising prices, it's inflation. What's the inflation the result of? It isn't shrinkflation, as Jagmeet Singh would have you believe. It isn't just greedy corporations jacking up their prices. That's not what it is. It's government trying to manage its debt without telling you that they're taxing you. You see, they're debasing the currency. If you really stop and look at this from an economic perspective, the way they're using the monetary system, they are printing money to service the debt. The pandemic came along. You could argue that it was a plandemic. Regardless, they used the pandemic to print a lot of money, send a lot of money out, inflate the economy. Governments can deal with debt, their national debts, through inflation. It ends up being a tax on you. It devalues, it debases the currency. It means that the money that has been borrowed in the past becomes worth less. So it's a way of governments actually not paying the debts that they owe to other countries, especially when the US dollar is the world reserve currency. So if the value of the US dollar declines, they actually have to pay less. All they're doing really is printing money to pay off a debt, is the way that it, in the most simplistic terms, is the way that it's working. And they're printing so much that year over year over year for the past few years, the value of the currency has been dropping by about 15%. So 15% one year, 15% again and again. So within 2 years, it's 30%. Within 4 years, the value of the currency has actually declined as much as 60%. That means that your spending power is less. That's why the prices are rising in the stores. It means ultimately that you and I, taxpayers, we end up paying more for everything to service the debt. It means that all the free stuff that you think you're getting, like your health care, your social assistance checks, it was never actually free. Somebody has to pay for it. We're paying for it now through inflation. That's really what is going on. You see, they can't just increase taxes, say 15 or 20% right off the hop like that, because politically that's suicide. You can't campaign on that. Tell people that you're going to increase taxes by, say, 15%. People won't vote for you. So what they do is they inflate. It's a capitalist system, a method of hiding taxation. Inflation is actually a tax on you. And that's what's going on. That's why the prices are rising. And as a result of that, people are confused. They really don't know. You have politicians like Jagmeet Singh standing there saying, oh, no, it's just the greedy corporations jacking up their prices. Any company is really just responding to the market conditions. Some may take advantage to some degree if the conditions are right in their particular industry, but really they're just responding to the higher prices just like you and I do. And just like labor unions do. That's why you've seen the auto workers unions in Canada and the United States demanding as much as 20 or 30% wage hikes and getting them from the automakers. Why 20%? Because the currency is being devalued 15% or more every single year now. That means that the wages that the workers are working for year over year over year are worth less. The real tragedy in all this is that older people, retirees, people who did the responsible thing all their life, went to work, saved, invested, they have their money, it's tucked away in retirement savings plans. They're sort of taking it out now to live off it. They're the ones who are going to suffer the most, because all that money they worked all their lives for, within the span of, say, 4 years or 5 years, they're seeing the value of their retirement fund cut in half. It's a way for the government to just wrap their arms around all that cash, scoop it all back up, and bring it on in to service the debt. But ultimately, my opinion, we really only have ourselves to blame, because we as citizens demand these things of our governments, Canada and the United States. In the US, the national debt now, I think, is somewhere around $34 trillion. I think we're at the point now where just servicing the interest on the debt costs more than is spent on national defense in the United States. We're about at that point now. It shows that we're in a lot of trouble on the economic front. The United States really doesn't have the industrial base anymore to produce its way out of this. We need to bring back manufacturing. We need to bring back productivity, not just export debt, and not just really, as I've said before, the US dollar is supported by oil sales. It's the petrodollar. Countries, other countries through Saudi Arabia are forced to purchase oil using the US dollar. That props up demand for the dollar. Worldwide has. And the United States then in turn provides defense services for countries, especially like Saudi Arabia. So in a reality, it's an arms dollar now. The dollar is propped up not just by oil. The value of oil is a commodity attached to the dollar instead of gold. It's a petrodollar now. It's also the value of the dollar is attached to the value of the U.S. military and the defense that it provides to other countries in the Middle East and through NATO. So hold on, because everything is destabilizing. The world now is entering a new era. I don't know where we'll ultimately end up. If things progress the way that they are, you're going to see these BRICS nations, Russia, China, India, South Africa, others that are joining now the BRICS nations to launch their own currency and their own economic system to challenge the dominance of the US system, and it is coming together. That means that the US dollar is going to be under even more pressure. It could ultimately result in a massive crash economically, the likes of which we've never seen before, and poverty on a scale that we've never really experienced here in North America before. That's one possibility. On the bright side, what could save us, and I think this is a very likely scenario, is artificial intelligence and robotics. That's what capitalism does too. It drives innovation and economic efficiencies. And we are seeing the development of artificial intelligence evolve at an incredibly rapid pace, where now artificial intelligence is being used to develop more artificial intelligence, and robotics will be coming online. That means that these robots and other AI systems will be able to increase the efficiency, the productivity of a variety of industries, but it will also be incredibly disruptive. So we're at a point, I think, where it's almost impossible to predict the impact of that, not just on the economy, but on society as well. I'm hopeful that this technology can be used in a positive way so it can bail us out of this excessive spending and this, how shall I put it, this long-term addiction to living beyond our means here in the West. And superimposing our debt onto other countries where the standard of living has traditionally been much lower, people producing goods for much lower wages and a lower standard of living in order to support our standard of living here. Hopefully, we use this technology in a way that is wiser than we have before in order to lift all people up around the world. It's an opportunity. I hope we get it right this time. Getting it right, I'm not so sure about that, but at least maybe we'll be able to use that to grow our way out of this economic crisis through increased productivity. What we need really right now is real leadership in positions of power, a president, prime minister with real vision and wisdom. We should all pray.
We are Mavericks. We say no to the Trudeau and Biden New World Order. And to bugs. Because bugs are creepy and gross. And people should not eat bugs. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hey, no! To bugs!
Now, I think Kevin was posting in the chat, and he may have already shared this information for people over on our YouTube channels tonight, but the polls have all closed in every place except for, I think, Canada and the US for Russian voters who are out of country, but within the country, the polls have closed. Of course, we already know that Putin won the election, but he is saying that at last word, at last count, Putin had 88% of the votes in Russia, with international observers keeping an eye on things there. Things to me, I'm not in Russia, but it looks to me like the system has integrity over there. My assessment from afar. Other people may see it differently. 88%, it's, I think, a record or an unprecedented level of support for a Russian election. So congratulations, Vladimir Putin, on 6 more years in office in Russia. And here's a post on X just referring to this whole thing with Trump. As you can see, just a cartoon commentary. It's going to be and then circled bloodbath for the auto industry, criticism of the mainstream media on what's now being called the bloodbath hoax. Some people comparing the coverage on this just within the last 24 hours of being very similar to the Russia hoax and the Zelensky Hall hoax, and the list goes on. Here's NBC sticking with some reviews here of MSM coverage tonight, talking about Biden. This is an interesting headline, and I don't think the honeymoon with Biden is over too at the MSM. Behind the scenes, it says here, Biden has grown angry and anxious about re-election efforts. Scroll down. In a private meeting at the White House in January, allies of the president, it says, had just told him that his poll numbers in Michigan and Georgia had dropped over his handling of the war between Israel and Hamas. Both are battleground states he narrowly won 4 years ago, and he can't afford any backsliding if he is to once again defeat Donald Trump. He began to shout and swear A lawmaker familiar with the meeting said, "Isn't this interesting, this coverage?" He believed he had been doing what was right despite the political fallout, he told the group, according to the lawmaker. Asked about the episode, Andrew Bates, a White House spokesman, said, quote, "President Biden makes national security decisions based on the country's national security needs alone, no other factor." It goes on, but you can see that the love affair here is worn thin. It may be over. I'm not sure what the goal here is politically. This story is not just, let's do a story about Biden today. What are we going to talk about? No, this is focused. It's negative, and it's here for some political reason, some objective. It goes on here and says history suggests it will be tough for Biden to recover. Biden's 38% approval rating at this stage in the calendar is lower than that of the last three presidents who went on to lose re-election. Trump 48%, George H.W. Bush 39%, and to Jimmy Carter 43%, according to Gallup survey data. It says here, Biden has long believed that he isn't getting sufficient credit for an economy that has created 15 million new jobs. Yeah, but a lot of those jobs, most of them are like second jobs, part-time jobs, low-paying jobs, jobs that most Americans honestly don't want because they're already working a first job and often picking up a second job just to make ends meet or try to preserve their standard of living in the face of this rising inflation that I've been referring to. About 15% each year on the US side. I think in Canada, honestly, even more. The strange thing here is that in Canada, the government solution to inflation caused by money printing is to print more money and give away more free money, which in the end just fuels more inflation. It boggles my mind, but it shouldn't, because that's what these politicians do. They pretend to give you free stuff when they're really just borrowing money from the future, from your future or your children's future or your grandchildren's future, and then they give it to you so that you can spend it, we can spend it all together collectively in a very irresponsible manner, spend our way into oblivion in a way that ultimately might cost us not just the economy, but the entire darn country. And that's why people are fighting out there, because they don't really understand it. They don't know why prices are rising. Most people don't understand economics. They don't study economics in school. They're too focused on their lives. So when things turn bad, it becomes very easy again for politicians to sell us a bill of goods, a false narrative, a story that allows us to blame someone else, point at someone, and use someone else as a scapegoat. It's the big corporation's fault. It's that group's fault. It's this person's fault. It's the fault of the Jews, I'm hearing sometimes people say. I would say unfairly. We must be careful not to let them mislead us, lest we repeat the mistakes we were supposed to learn lessons from through history. Dangerous times. Do we have most of our big stories covered tonight? Well, Netanyahu, this one here, is pushing back against growing U.S. criticism of his response to the October 7th attack. You all know what that's about. Benjamin Netanyahu today coming out saying that it's inappropriate for U.S. officials like Schumer, he's the one just this week who called for elections in Israel because of the way Netanyahu has been handling the war there. Netanyahu coming out today saying it's wholly inappropriate, his words, for any U.S. leader to be criticizing Israel in this way, especially during a time of war. I'm not so sure. I think that criticism it comes with the territory, even during a time of war. For any leader, people can express their views, especially when it's one country providing so much money to the other in support and military aid and humanitarian aid. When all of this support is flowing, I think that the country and the taxpayers who are providing that support should have the right to speak up and say what they want. Not that everyone is going to see it as Chuck Schumer does, but you should still have the right to say it. Netanyahu, in a interview on Fox News, said that Israel would never have called for a new U.S. election after the September 11th attacks in 2001. He denounced Schumer's comments as inappropriate. He says, "We're not a banana republic," he said. "The people of Israel will choose when they will have elections and who they'll elect, and it's not something that we will have foisted on us." He was on CNN, and he was asked whether he would commit to a new election after the war ends, and Netanyahu said that, quote, "I think that's something for the Israeli public to decide." And the fighting continues. Now, we've got an episode here coming up of TRUESPIRACIES. You're not going to want to miss that. New York Post tonight posting this immigration, one of the other big issues, the economy, immigration. I think those are the two big ones in this presidential election and for the upcoming Canadian election. But New York Post with this on social media tonight. Illegal migrant from Lebanon told border authorities he's a Hezbollah terrorist and hoped to make a bomb. Here's the actual story from the New York Post. I think you're going to see a lot more of this kind of coverage in the weeks and months ahead. Illegal immigrant from Lebanon caught at border admitted he's a Hezbollah terrorist hoping to make a bomb and was headed for New York. New York Post. A Lebanese migrant who was caught sneaking over the border admitted he's a member of Hezbollah. Basil Abadi, 22 years old, caught at the border by a patrol March 9th near El Paso, Texas. When he was in custody, it says he was asked what he was doing in the U.S., to which he replied, "I'm going to try to make a bomb," according to a Border Patrol document that the New York Post obtained exclusively. But Abad later claimed in an interview, it says here, that he had been trying to flee Lebanon and Hamas because he, quote, didn't want to kill people, and said, "Once you're in, you can never get out." This according to internal ICE documents. Abadi said in a sworn interview after his arrest that he had trained with Hezbollah for 7 years and served as an active member guarding weapons locations for another 4 years. And they have the documents to back up this story. This is not just one of those anonymous sources say. It says here that his training focused on jihad and killing people that were not Muslim. And that was a quote from his interview with the authorities. Abadi didn't have documents when he entered the U.S. He said that they had been taken from him when he was robbed by someone with a knife while he was in Costa Rica. He also admitted to using a fake birthday and name in Sweden and Ecuador, and that's how he was moving around the world in order to get to the United States. Here's a look at the document. As you can see, so they're not just making it up, they've done their work. Photos to go with it of the border. That should be very concerning to people. A lot of people coming into the country. A lot. Okay. I think we're about ready. Let's take a break. We're going to come back. It's about that time, folks, for TRUESPIRACIES. Are you ready? Are you ready? We've got some great stories lined up. News is so true, it's unbelievable. I'll give you the headlines on the other side of this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, and this is very entertaining. I guess you could almost say this is for entertainment purposes, and yet there's so much truth in tonight's stories that these stories are unbelievable. Truth is stranger than fiction. What are we going to cover tonight on TRUESPIRACIES? Well, we're going to tell you about Melania Trump versus Princess Diana. We're going to tell you about Kris Jenner. Kris Jenner's nose is falling off. Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, Justin Trudeau's estranged wife, has a new book out, and she's not doing her estranged husband any favors in this this new literary masterpiece that she has come out with, or is about to come out with. It's open for pre-orders. I haven't read it yet because the book's not being shipped yet. Also, we're going to talk about Scientology Doomsday and lab monkeys taking over a town in Georgia. So don't go away. TRUESPIRACIES is next. Okay, let's dig into it, shall we? Do you guys know who Phil Godlewski is? We're not going to get into too much with Phil Godlewski here, but it seems he's taken some real heat. This is a QAnon leader who a year ago accidentally outed himself as an alleged child predator because he launched a defamation suit against someone. And then, of course, you get discovery. And as a result of that, there were court documents that came out and revealed that he'd been having some sort of relationship with an underage girl, aged, I believe, 15 years old. Very interesting. There's a lot more to the Phil Godlewski story, but his troubles didn't end there. They're really continuing now because for whatever reason, some people are online and they are really attacking this guy. They don't like him at all. 3 of the guys who have really taken him to task, who really seem to have some concerns about Phil Godlewski and his online streaming, his channel. He is an online streamer, influencer, QAnon leader. These guys are also, I think, embedded pretty well with the QAnon movement, but they don't like him. And they're saying he's not true Q. They're saying that Phil Godlewski isn't what he says he is. They were online. They've been online for the past week or so, really taking him to task. They're not the only ones. A lot of people doing this. We'll probably talk more about this whole Phil Godlewski thing in the days ahead. It's a very interesting story, and it's interesting to see how people within this movement are holding his feet to the fire. We'll explore it more another night. But as part of the most recent online special broadcast, shall we say, from these guys over at Good Lion Films. This is Nick Alvarez, I believe his name. This is the guy who produced the Greatest Show on Earth film that many of you have probably seen. It's, I think, had over 1 million views. It was pretty popular. It was all about Trump and a lot of different things surrounding the elections. Anyway, this is not directly related to that. I'm just telling you who these guys are. They've become acquainted because of the Godlewski thing, and they touched on a lot of things. I just happened, somebody sent me the link. I just happened to tune in for some of it and took note of this particular portion of their program the other night, where it went beyond all of this and progressed into some commentary on this story. And I thought this was perfect for TRUESPIRACIES, because they're saying that there are people out there saying Donald Trump tried to date Princess Diana at one point, and now there's all this talk about Princess Diana and Melania. Well, you just listen to what's being said.
I got a question here. So somebody put, they were talking to somebody in the chat. I think it was Kelly Ackerstorm. She said to Keith, Mike Penny has his followers believing Trump is married to Princess Diana. Now, I've heard this one, but we don't have no proof of it. But it goes back to the Romanovs. It goes back to Russia and the whole thing, right? And then they were saying that, like, Melania was that part, and then they crossed it and said that Diana was playing Melania and all these things. So I think that sometimes fantasy takes over, and like we said, we don't know. We don't know. Certain things are speculation.
Right. I stand with Melania. I stand with Melania on that one. I don't really
I think that's wise.
Until she comes out, until Diana comes out, we can start it all. But we could do all those theories all day.
Yeah. Oh, I got a bunch. You got a bunch.
At the end of the day, is that going to get us through the shit? No, it isn't.
Yeah, you got a great point there. The thing that gets us through the day is educating. You know what I noticed too? So,
yeah. So for Trump to be married to Princess Diana, Diana would have to be alive still. So is Diana alive in the same way that, say, Elvis is alive? Or JFK Jr. is alive? Or how many other celebrities are just part of the pretending to be dead protection program? I don't know. So that's what's going on out there. I guess some people are saying that Trump is actually married to Princess Diana, not to Melania. But I personally, I'm going to stick with Nick on this one. I'm going to stand with Melania. I'm going to say Trump is married to Melania. I think that in this particular case, maybe the fantasy has taken over reality here just a little bit. But that's what's being posted out there. I thought I'd share that with you because that was a pretty interesting Interesting thing. And there is no proof. So I think we have to give the benefit of the doubt to Melania, especially since some people are saying, and I've heard people saying this, you never see Melania around anymore. No, that's not true. I did see her when Viktor Orban, the leader of Hungary, came to the United States, snubbed Biden, and went to see Trump instead at Mar-a-Lago. You know who was standing beside Trump? Melania. What more do I have to say? There she was. I think they even danced at the event. Oh, and there was video as well of Viktor Orban giving a bouquet of flowers to Melania. He did. So now some people are saying that, maybe Melania isn't really Melania. Maybe Melania is, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I got to go with these guys on that. Until we see Princess Di, then I have to go with the status quo. And that is that Trump is married to Melania. Simple as that. What else do we have for you tonight? We're going to get into this whole thing with Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, but you're going to have to wait. That's coming up. Right now, it's time to review this week's edition of The National Enquirer. Oh, my. Oh, this is going to be sweet. I took a look at this week's tabloids, the most trustworthy publications on the newsstands these days. I looked at the Globe, I looked at the National Examiner, and I looked at the National Enquirer, and I said, which of these publications would be the most riveting? Which has the best stories to share with our viewers tonight? And when I saw this headline, there was just no question. It had to be the Enquirer because they have the exclusive. Kris Jenner nose is falling off. Oh my. See, that's the thing. There you are, you're a celebrity. Everything seems to be going great. You've got the world by the tail. The world is your oyster. What could possibly go wrong? Then one day you just wake up and there's your nose falling off. Whoop, there it is. See, I got it. Cut your nose. Do you remember your parents doing that to you, or your uncle sitting on their lap and they'd steal your nose? Let's go right to this Kris Jenner story, shall we? I can't wait to find it. Okay, I'm here it is. They buried it all the way back here in the middle of the publication. This is page 8 and 9. Chris's faulty nose fails the smell test. Kardashian momager Kris Jenner's nose is out of joint, it says here, literally, after too much cosmetic surgery, say sources who shall remain nameless. The 68-year-old reality TV tycoon's repealed schnoz snips, who writes this, have left her snout in danger of falling off. Well, that's misleading. You told me that it already had fallen off. A la Michael Jackson. And sparked calls from fans, friends, family members, and top docs to throttle back on the knife work. Sources dish. Even the kids who've had plenty of plastic surgery themselves think Kris has gone overboard, spills an insider. One concerned fan posted, Kris, please stop with the face tune. We all know you don't look like that. Another observed, that nose is hanging by a thread. New York plastic surgeon Dr. Yoel Shahar, who has not treated Kris, tells the National Enquirer. The star had a decent nose until she tried to narrow it, and now she may even have trouble breathing. By over-pushing the nasal bone, she ended up with an asymmetrical position on the left side, while the lower half of her nose remained in the midline. Shahar explained. She needs to have another operation and move back the right side of the nasal bone. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When I did the operation, I moved it a little too far to the left. We're gonna go back in. We're gonna move it a little bit more to the right. Take 2 on your nose. Take 3. Take 10. Dr. Otto Plasek of Chicago adds, it's my impression that she had an initial job in 2007 and then some reconstruction with a cartilage graft to correct the 2007 nose. We have photos to show the progression. Blah, 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 says the insider. Everyone wants her to stop before it's too late and her nose collapses completely. My nose collapsed. Now I can't suck my nose. I'll read it just like Jenner would the rest of the story. So, says the insider, everyone wants her to stop before it's too late and her nose collapses completely, like what happened to Michael Jackson, who ended his life wearing a plastic prosthetic to cover up the damage. There's pictures of Jenner's nose over the years. Memories like the corners of my nose. 1991, 2012. Oh, yeah, man. Now look at her. Oh, this is horrific. Look at that. Look at that schnoz. It is collapsing. Look, man. It's like, I mean, it is a work of art, but it's not functional. It's all narrowed in. The nostrils are sucked right in there. It's a wonder she can't even breathe through that schnoz at all. Look, even Simon Cowell is concerned. He's right next to her saying, holy Cowell, what happened to your nose? Well, he has his own set of problems. Apparently, he froze his face. Holy cow, a frozen Simon looks strange. Former American Idol judge Simon Cowell is barely recognizable after his face was frozen by a Botox binge. And now the vain 64-year-old swears he's quit cosmetic fixes for good. Well, that's good news. I was worried there for a while. I've been losing sleep, just sitting there worrying and thinking, Simon, when are you going to stop, man? Don't worry, Lab Monkeys Take Over Georgetown is coming up. But first, Scientology Doomsday. Got to get right to that one. Where is it? Scientology Doomsday. This is all about Tom Cruise, of course. He'll be in there. Oh, but before we do that, look at this one. This is Amy Schumer. Oh, this is the other theme I forgot to tell you about. Bug eyes. There's an epidemic of bug eyes out there. It starts right here with Amy Schumer, who was bugging out on the Andy Cohen show, trying on some Mary Cosby eyes. Here she is. Except the thing is, oh my, look at her eyes. Oh my. Is that scary? Oh, she's bugging out. There's several stories here with people with bug eyes in this edition of the Inquirer, and what that's telling me is we have a bug eye epidemic on our hands. What's causing these celebrities to have their eyes bug out like that? It's inquiring minds want to know. Okay, where is it? I want the Scientology scoop. And we've also got Beyonce Buckaroo coming up, and Zero Pity for P. Diddy. Maybe we'll just have to come to it when we come to it. There's lots of stuff to cover in here. This is the best news going on. Scientology on the ropes. Here it is. All right. Look at all these people. They're being shunned by Hollywood. They always get on this Scientology kick with Tom Cruise, but then he just makes another movie. They make another $1 billion and all is forgiven. Hollywood shuns sci-fi church and true believer stars as scandals explode. After years wielding influence from Hollywood's darkest shadows, Scientology's doomsday has finally arrived, with showbiz power players fearlessly spurning the controversial church and its true believer celebrities. Entertainment industry insiders say, who shall remain nameless. Sources, who shall remain nameless, tell the National Enquirer the fame-obsessed organization, which uses stars like Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and Elizabeth Moss as recruitment tools and cash cows, has been put on its heels by criminal convictions, investigations, lawsuits, celebrity defections, and mounting public protests. Yeah, I know. This should be the spiciest of all the stories in here, and yet it isn't. In fact, other than just putting pictures of a lot of celebrities up and saying that they're all a bunch of wackos, it's pretty tame stuff overall. Let's, which maybe should be concerning to us, but you know what really is important is Snoop Dogg drooling for Dolly. Now, what would he be drooling after, I wonder? See, no edition of the National Enquirer would be complete without a story dealing with breasts. The last time we shared stories from the National Enquirer, the focus was on Taylor Swift and Tay-Tay's tatas. But in this edition, it's Snoop Dogg drooling for Dolly. It says here that rapper Snoop Dogg is dead serious about lusting to make beautiful music with his idol Dolly Parton after not so secretly crushing on her for years, sources sing. Quote, he thinks Dolly is the finest looking woman he's ever laid eyes on, and he rocks out for hours to her when he's stoned. So what we really have here is a case of extreme reefer madness. Snoop Dogg gets stoned, fantasizes about Dolly and her attributes, and descends into a sex-crazed fantasy, just fueled with drug-induced distortions. The 52-year-old doggy style. Oh my. It says right there, I didn't make it up, the 50-year-old doggy style hitmaker shocked fans when he admitted in a recent interview that after his successful collaboration with octogenarian Martha Stewart, who's 80 freaking 2, he was setting his sights on a younger woman. The 78-year-old Jolene Legend. You're one hot babe. You're so much younger. I have to admit, she's looking pretty good for 78. But I wonder how many times she had her face frozen and her nose moved to the left and then back to the right. He says here, I'd love to do a song with Dolly Parton. Can you hook that up? Yes. Snoop has always had a thing for hot older ladies like Martha and Dolly. Blabs a buddy who claims it's more than just harmonizing the hound dog is after. He loves to flirt and turn on the charm. Has anyone asked Dolly about this? Like, how does she feel about it? Dolly's being known, it's right here. It says, been known to enjoy weed, and Snoop wants to light one up with her. Squeals the source. Didn't he just announce a while back that he was giving up his doobies? Definitely he announced that, but I think it was just a publicity stunt. As for Dolly, a friend says she's ready for a new collab after recently earning her first #1 pop album with Rockstar. A departure from country music that had her teaming with Paul McCartney, Elton John, Sting, and others. Dolly knows her devoted country fans will always be there for her, but she wants to flex other musical muscles. Spills the pal. Oh my. 78 years old. 82-year-old Martha Stewart. Well, age is just a number. What happened to the jokes about sex after 60? Do you remember? That was back in the 70s. Now it's like anything goes. R&B backlash bites Buckaroo Beyonce. There it is. Oh, look at the natural blonde hair. She's gone back to all natural. See that? Yeah. That's what she really looks like. Genre-bending superstar Beyonce's twangy song Texas Hold'em made her the first black woman to hit #1 in the country charts, but it also triggered fire from members of the R&B community. You're setting yourself up to be ridiculed again, fumes Chasing Time rapper Azalea Banks on social media. Okay, whatever. Buckaroo Beyonce bouncing on her B. Okay. Oh, Inquirer exclusives coming up. Cher whips Sonny's widow. Terrible tragedy. Madonna's devastating AIDS horror. Last roundup. Willie Nelson crippled by pain. This is all true stuff. Oh, yes. CNN outcast Don Lemon, 57, is making the struggling news network pay big time for canning him. Reportedly settling for about $24.5 million. CNN reps deny the report, but the amount would cover the remainder of Lemon's terminated contract. Oh, yeah. Well, we showed you the interview that he did on X with Elon Musk last night during the Strange Bedfellows program, and he had a gig over there on X as a result of leaving CNN, but it didn't go well with Elon, and now he's canned over there too. The guy just can't hold down a job. Ladies, he's no catch. He'll leave you in the poorhouse. Can't even hold down a job. Shannon pins bad behavior on ex-hubby. Remember Shannon Doherty? For those of you who don't remember, I certainly do. There she is, Shannon Doherty. Trouble magnet Shannon Doherty says she's taking full blame for her firing from the 90s TV hit Beverly Hills 90210 for allowing her horrible marriage to then-husband Ashley Hamilton to trigger her unprofessional behavior behind the scenes. Shannon, who is now 52, she's just a youngin', all right? Snoop Dogg might want to check her out. Admits her chronic lateness became a very big problem for the cast and crew and led to her being axed in 1994 from her role as Brenda Walsh after 4 seasons. Why do we care? This is from the 1990s. This is not news. This is entertainment history. Robert to wed Prager's Suki to pacify her. Pregnant Suki Waterhouse is pushing pretty boy fiancé Robert Pattinson to make the Milk Teeth singer an honest woman with a hush-hush shotgun wedding weeks before she's due to drop their first child, sources wail. Robert. Insiders snitch the 32-year-old Brit beauty would rather have her baby in wedlock than out. Yeah. So they're going to get hitched. And there's Jen Aniston. No one's there for former man. No one's there for the former man magnet. She's lonely Jen's love life is DOA. She doesn't look happy. How old is she? She got lots of mileage left in her. She's 55. Well, come on, Jen. You've got like 20, 30 years left of, being single and ready to mingle. You're single, aren't you? Did you get married behind my back? Well, she ain't got nobody now. She's lonely. So Snoop got to go check her out. you could check them all out. FBI expert shoots hole in Alex's tail. Insists actor had to have pulled the trigger on fatal bullet. Oh, yeah, that's the whole thing about the shooting on Rust. Zero pity for bad boy Diddy. Career in ruins as guy files $30 million sex suit. Oh, no. Say it isn't so. But it is. Because this is news. So true, it's unbelievable. Accused serial sleaze Sean Diddy Combs has been walloped with a new $30 million sexual assault lawsuit from, get this, a man. And sources say the legal action will sink the rap impresario's career for good. Diddy, 54. He's right in there. He could kind of go younger or older, probably. Teetering on the brink of disaster from a barrage of sex-related lawsuits against him from women. Now his former production assistant, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, 38, is charging the music mogul groped his genitals and buttocks, coerced him to have sex with prostitutes, and you will have sex with, what the hell is this? And most alarmingly, believes he was drugged and raped. Well, they better get that one right, because otherwise you're going to be sued for slander. Swift's dad in hot water. Maybe me too, but it's got to be true that these charges at least exist, or these accusations. But they have not been proven in a court of law. Swift's dad in hot water, accused of punch up down under. Oh, here's Taylor Swift, but this one is not about Tay-Tay's tatas. This one is about songbird Taylor Swift's father, Scott, who fled to Australia on a private plane hours after being accused of assault by a photographer in New South Wales. And now sources say the American performer's pop is sweating bullets because he fears being dragged back down under by the law. So he punched somebody. Now he's in trouble. Well, at least his nose isn't collapsing like Kris Jenner's. Oh, Adele. She's packing on the pounds. Adele Sky falls off diet and gains 30 pounds. Superstar Adele has been watching her figure meticulously for years, but now, sources say, she's thrown caution to the wind and packed on 30 pounds. But hubby Rich Paul is loving her sexy new curves. Sexy. The 35-year-old Skyfall saying, "You were really, really skinny before. I didn't like the anorexic look, but this is really getting me hot. Yeah, I like it." The 35-year-old Skyfall singer showed off her fuller figure while on a dinner date. Look at me. I put on 30 pounds. A dinner date with sports agent Rich, 42, at Cipriani in Beverly Hills, with insiders estimating the 5'9" star now tips the scales at 170 whopping pounds. She's a whopper. Adele isn't fixated on her weight anymore. I don't care. I don't care how fat I get. Bring me more. Bring me more. Oh, my. Adele isn't fixated on her weight anymore. Not the way she used to be, confides an insider. Not the way she used to be. She used to, I won't say it. She's still healthy, but she's giving herself a lot more leeway and not counting every calorie. Well, isn't that special? New predators raising alarm in Fox's henhouse. Oh, no. Tucker. After beleaguered blowhard, Tucker Carlson's reputation was further in a new hacking scandal. That doesn't make sense. That whoever wrote that didn't do a good job. Sources say his former Fox News co-stars are petrified that they've been targeted too. Insiders dish. Panic swept Fox News offices after journalist Timothy Burke was arrested and indicted on federal conspiracy charge following humiliated videos of ousted Tucker. Burke had been under investigation since last summer when his home was searched by the FBI, but the charges did not drop until late last month. The Fox News gang would all love to be celebrating Tucker's latest embarrassment, but the big picture is causing them untold misery, reveals an insider who shall remain nameless. They're freaking out, wondering who else has been hacked and what stupidity or sordid secrets could at any point be laid bare. Footage published by the left-wing watchdog group Media Matters of America included several hot mic moments of Tucker spewing unflattering, offensive comments. In one tape, Tucker trashes Dominion Voting Systems lawyer as a, quote, slimy little mother effer who triggered him. Huh. Dr. Phil hunting Hannity's head. Dr. Phil turns headhunter. He's just jealous because Sean has hair. Wily Dr. Phil hopes to best Fox News with his network Merritt Street Media by poaching top industry talent, including the rival channel's firebrand Sean Hannity, sources squeal. Dr. Phil is after Hannity to give the new network a boost, and insider spills. Money is no option. The 73-year-old media mogul's company has joined forces with Trinity Broadcasting Network for a lineup of programming via cable, satellite, and broadcast stations, and the venture has hit the ground a-running with commitments to appear in over 65 million homes. Could be a match made in heaven. Oh, Kathy Lee Gifford. Oh, you've seen better days. Heartbroken Kathy Lee kicked to curb. No, say it isn't so. And there she is in her tracksuit, out in public, looking like a commoner. Crushed Kathy Lee Gifford, 70, is single again. Well, come on. You're only 70. You're just a spring chicken. Is single again after boyfriend Richard Spitz broke off their relationship, leaving the former TV host heartbroken. Kathy Lee was deeply affected by the loss of her second husband, Frank Gifford, and found solace in her relationship with Richard, source tells Straight Shooter. She was frightened she would never find love again, but she did briefly. Now, with their relationship over, she's gone through another heartbreak and frightened that at 70, her time has passed. No! Look at Dolly! Look at Dolly! Come on! Oh, come on, Snoop. Come on. Why don't you go check out Kathy Lee? She's looking for love in all the wrong places, and so is Jen Aniston. Man, like, you could get yourself a whole harem. And look, man, she needs help. You could help, like, take her shopping, get her a new outfit, dude. Look at this. She needs help. Snoop. She needs you, man. She needs you. Martin Tickles Meryl's Fancy. Funny man Martin Short, 73. And Oscar winner Meryl Streep, 74. Insists they're just pals. But tipsters tell straight shooter the only murders in the building, castmates are planning a cozy summer getaway together. And acquaintances suspect the seniors are actually friends with benefits. Oh, this is like not Sex After 60. This show, this is Sex After 70. Just shows what good nutrition can do. And a little Botox. Freeze your face, get your nose rearranged, and all things are possible. Love springs eternal. Jesus. I don't know about Amy, though. Who wants that? Any takers? Oh, my. Come on, Amy. Oh, that's terrible. Look, and here she is passed out with her bulging peepers. What were you doing that you passed out on the floor, Amy? With your eyes still wide open like that. This is a whole thing about Kentucky prison. Shame exposed sex predator guards make inmates' lives absolute hell. Now, Jam Master Jay's murderers nailed. Rap legend Boyhood Buds did the dirty. Run DMC rap legend Jam Master Jay's murder has finally been solved 21 years after he was gunned down in a drug deal gone bad. A New York jury convicted Ronald Washington, 59, and Carl Jordan Jr., 40, for the 2002 slaying of the music icon who was born Jason Mizell. Prosecutors contend that after a disagreement, Mizell, who died at age 37, cut Washington and Jordan out of a $200,000 cocaine deal. Angered and seeking revenge, the two broke into the rapper's Queen's music studio through the fire escape. Jordan then shot Mizell in the head at close range. Well, isn't this a pleasant story? Oh, man, I don't want to finish that. You got the idea. Stupid people doing stupid things. William and Camilla brawl for it all, fighting each other in control of final days of dying king's reign. They love to do the stuff on the royals, don't they? Prince William and his hated stepmother, Queen Camilla, my evil stepmother, are locked in a bitter battle to control the monarchy in the final days of dying King Charles's reign as the cancer-stricken monarch's health rapidly declines. Palace insiders dish Charles's medical crisis, apparently made worse by bizarre and unproven homeopathic cancer treatments, has emboldened his queen, who sees her husband's weakness as an opportunity. She is pure evil. The queen must be rolling over in her grave, Queen Elizabeth, at this point. And Trump aims to deport Doper Harry. See? Yep. Basically, what this story here says is that if that he doesn't seem to like Harry, and if any effort is made to deport Harry, he won't defend him. Kind of like NATO, right? It's like, if you don't pay your bill, we're not gonna defend your country. If you don't pay me, Harry, if you don't support me, you're gonna get deported. Huge. Live-It housewives finally get real. Scandalous suits accuse boss Cohen of ugly abuse. Oh my. It just doesn't end, does it? Smarmy Bravo honcho Andy Cohen's head is on the chopping block after hothead housewives Brandy Glanville and Leah McSweeney named the reality czar in scandalous lawsuit. Yeah. All this Hollywood stuff. But here it is. Lab monkeys take over Georgetown. Planet of the Apes. Locals going bananas over $396 million monkey farm. This is a true story. So true, it's unbelievable. In fact, I've looked it up from other sources. The National Enquirer is the source that gets it right. Residents of tiny Bainbridge, Georgia, are going ape over plans to house 30,000 lab monkeys in a new $396 million medical research facility operated by a major drug company. Despite howls of protest, municipal officials approved Safer Human Medicine's plans to build the center, which will eventually become the largest monkey breeding facility in the U.S. 30,000 monkeys. 30,000. Could you imagine living next door to that? Non-stop all night long. Oh my God. Noise, talk about noise pollution. Oh, this poor guy here. Look how poor, look, he's so sad. Look at that guy. Oh. Oh. Why do I feel that animal rights activists are going to target this place? I bet you they'll come down and picket it at the very least. Yeah. Reps for the animal rights group PETA tell the National Enquirer, I told you, the prisoner primates pose a significant risk to public health as they can transmit a slew of diseases to humans, including herpes B virus, tuberculosis, Ebola-like viruses, simian, hemorrhagic fever virus, malaria, dengue, and leprosy. But Safer Human Medicine CEO Jim Harkness contends the facility is an important project for America. This coming on the heels of a global pandemic. And they're opening a 30,000 monkey shelter for lab monkeys right next to your house. How do you feel about that? Sunny days for Cher. Sweet revenge on Bono's widow. Sonny Bono. Music legend Cher. Now, see, doesn't matter how old she is. She's like a female Dick Clark who never ages. How many nose jobs has she had? I think it's a little to the left. What do you think? Does she need to get it moved back over to the right a little bit? Now, remember, this could be a reverse image on your screen, so we don't want to give her bad advice. Make sure you've got the direction, but it's coming up on the screen the right way. So just left or right could be the reverse. So anyway, I think it's a little crooked. Music legend Cher is on the verge of winning a bitter $1 million music royalty battle against her hated love rival, Mary Bono, the widow of the Dark Lady's sadly departed first hubby and singing partner, Sonny Bono. Cher's got to be thrilled over this, says Mark Bego, author of the Cher bio, If You Believe. She feels like she's got hers, babe. So, yeah, just a battle over royalties from a song. We already did the Scientology thing. We're on to the crosswords. Scientology on the ropes. Cruise didn't have a prayer. Top Gun hunk Tom Cruise's plans for marriage got shot down by girlfriend Elsina Karyovka. Karirova? I don't even know who she is. Do I care? The ravishing Russian socialite was spooked by his devotion to Scientology. Insider squeal. Former model Elsina. She's only 36, man. Oh, Tom. Come on. You've got all these experienced women out there looking for a new main squeeze. Maybe you could kind of go with Snoop and do some double dating. Former model Alcina, 36, has close ties to her homeland's warmongering dictator, it says here, Vladimir Putin, through her politician father. Yet she was scared off by the spacey religion's reputation, Scientology. For strong-arm tactics, tipsters tell the National Enquirer, and they ought to know. My goodness. Kim K exposes wrong dude as convicted killer. Well, if she knows anything about exposing something, if anybody knows anything about exposing something, it would be her, right? Whoops, clueless Kim Kardashian splashed a New York project manager's mug on an appeal to her 364 million Instagram followers, wrongly identifying him as a Texas death row inmate. Wannabe lawyer Kim, 43, was trying to drum up support for a campaign to stay jailbird Ivan Abner Cantu's execution, but posted a photo of an unrelated dude whose name happens to be Ivan A. Cantle. She's a genius, isn't she? To all my friends and family, I am not getting executed. Some idiot who runs Kim Kardashian used my picture instead of Ivan Abner Cantu, the 60-year-old fumed in a since-deleted Facebook post. In Kim's offending post, the Skims founder urged Texas Governor Greg Abbott to postpone the convicted killer's death by it says legal injection, but I think what we mean is lethal injection to allow more time for authorities to evaluate new evidence. Inmate Cantu, 40, he's still pretty young too, claims the murders of his cousin and a lover in 2000 were committed by drug dealers. The key witness at his trial has now recanted damning evidence. The reality TV queen or someone acting on her behalf later removed the wayward post and issued an apology. Scoffs one poster about Kim. All that Botox seeped upwards and ate her brain cells. The dangers of plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery. There's no plastic in it, just bacteria. Madonna makes horrid AIDS gaffe. How do you make a horrid AIDS gaffe? Old bird, come on. Old bird Madonna, that's what it says, is eating a healthy heaping of crow after the family of Luther Vandross demanded the Queen of Pop remove his likeness from her concert video tribute to people who died of AIDS because the R&B legend was never diagnosed with the condition or its cause, HIV. The estate of the Give Me the Reason singer points out he died in 2005 at 54 from complications related to a stroke he'd suffered 2 years earlier. Madonna, who is 65, she's just a spring chicken, not an old bird, recently included Vandross in a photo montage which accompanied her tune Live to Tell during her celebration tour's stop in Sacramento. But a source huffs, it was more than presumptuous of the longtime AIDS advocate to do so without checking with the late performer's loved ones. She just put that guy in her video, didn't ask, and he didn't even die of AIDS. Natalie Portman should have seen Swan Song coming. Once a cheater, always a cheater. This whole thing is about relationships, this whole magazine. Dear Dr. Gilda, should Natalie Portman, this is the Dr. Gilda column. It's kind of like Dear Abby, but the National Enquirer version. Do you guys, am I that old? Come on. You know who Dear Abby was, right? No? Huh. Well, look it up. We've got Dr. Gilda here today. People writing letters in to this advice column. Send questions to Ask Dr. Gilda. I'll give the address here. Got to buy the magazine to find out how. The black swan star cried foul when hubby Benjamin Millipede. Millipede? I don't even know who that guy is. She married a millipede? Ugh. You ever see that horror movie Centipede? I never saw that. I don't know what it's about, but there was a movie called that. It's like that movie, that old movie. Remember the old movie about the snakes? With Dirk Benedict. It was just S. That was the name of the movie. S. Well, she married a millipede. Why would you do that? Can you imagine what would a millipede, what would you do with a millipede? Oh, honey, I'm home. What did you do today? I just slithered around on the floor all day. Don't step on me. Careful. Watch where you're stepping. Ow. Well, how do I come up with this stuff? I don't know. My mind is twisted. There's something really wrong with me. Stepped out on her. Benjamin Millipede stepped out on her and their two children with 25-year-old climate activist Camille Etienne. But the truth is, she should have seen the storm clouds gathering long ago. Natalie's a Harvard grad with a genius IQ. However, she was anything but smart when she chose a husband who is a millipede. The 42-year-old, she's just a spring chicken too. Snoop, the field is wide open, my man. None of these guys can keep a wife. The 42-year-old Oscar winner met the handsome French choreographer who's 46 on the set of her celebrated 2010 film Black Swan and fell head over heels for the hoofer. A millipede hoofer. How do you do that? How do you dance when you have no legs? Well, really, really short ones, I guess. Do millipedes have legs? Do chickens have lips? Unfortunately, she ignored the fact that she was cutting in on his longtime relationship with Isabella Boylston, principal dancer at the American Ballet Theater. I don't know, some of those dancers, those ballet chicks, they're pretty flexible. Millipede left his girlfriend, married Portman, converted to Judaism, and appeared to be a good husband and father to their two children. Are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? I am tonight. But then Natalie caught him with a younger woman and danced around getting a divorce until it was obvious they could never get back in step after his betrayal. The relationship was a foxtrot doomed to failure. Ladies, when a man cheats on you, this is Dr. Gilda and her advice now. Ladies, when a man cheats with you, he will cheat on you. It's a fact of love that the way you get him is the way you'll lose him. If he's already entangled with someone else, untangle yourself from him. Just let him slither away. Oh. Uh-huh. Ads. Hollywood hookups. Who's doing who? Romeo Beckham seeks new Juliet. Oh, Romeo. Why did you have to kick your longtime girlfriend, Neil Reagan, to the curb? In any case, the 21-year-old son of soccer icon David Beckham and posh spice Victoria Beckham has moved on to liking sizzling photos of model Liv Grivas, while model and content creator Mia, 21, has moved back in with her parents after the 5-year romance soured. It's off. Says so right there. Home run for Brielle and Billy. So we got Brielle Bierman, 27. Ooh, she's really young. She's hitting it out of the park with minor league baseball pitcher Billy Seidel. Don't know who he is? Don't watch him. 24. You crazy kids. Elle and Casper feel the burn. And I don't think they're talking about Bernie Sanders. Songbird Ellie Goulding, 37, also youngin', is singing Love Me Like You Don't after revealing her separation from art dealer hubby Caspar Jopling, 32, following 4 years of marriage. Today's Splitsville, it's off, and there's another one in the field for Snoop Dogg. You old horn dog, you. Are you watching? Dance diva Julianne is a nutcracker. Ooh. Oh my, I don't think I want nothing to do with her. Snoop, stay away. She's a nutcracker. Bosses at Dancing with the Stars were dancing on air when they thought they'd replace tyrant Tyra Banks with a humble new host, but sources say Julianne Hough is picking up right where the 50-year-old supermodel left off. Julianne is so full of herself, and producers realize they have another diva on their hands, Huff's a snitch. She's walking around like they need her more than she needs them. She's picky about her appearance and wardrobe and has production assistants fetch vegan food and mineral water that has to be the right temperature. Julianne, the 35-year-old two-time Mirror Ball Trophy winner who debuted as a pro on the show in 2007 and has served as a judge across multiple seasons, landed the coveted spot after Banks bolted amid rumors she was shown the door following just 3 seasons of high-maintenance antics and low ratings. But sources snitched Julianne returned to the dance competition as co-host with Alfonso Ribeiro, 52, is kind of in the middle. Last fall has been anything but a breath of fresh air. Are you getting the picture here? Cody swaps guitar for bullhorns. Country music superstar Cody Johnson is bucking his manager's advice and joining the rodeo. Well, good for you, buckaroo. Maybe you get buckaroo Cody and buckaroo Beyonce together and they can do some serious bouncing together. Your horoscope. Well, too many of them to read. We could maybe do a horoscope show. War for Wendy's $120 million fortune. Now, I promised you bug eyes, didn't I? Now, Amy Schumer had bug eyes, and I'm telling you, it's an epidemic. Look at this. Who is this here? This is the former talk show host. Who is this? Relatives chasing tragic TV talker's gold as she slips into deep dementia. Wendy Williams. Right, I remember now. Wendy Williams. She's got the bug eye curse. Oh my God. Is that scary or what? Look, there she is down here too. All bug-eyed out. Look at those bug eyes. Oh my God. In a scene from, it says, Where is Wendy Williams? The star admits, then denies she drowned. She downed a bottle of vodka in bed. Yeah? Well, based on what I'm seeing in those eyes, she can deny all she wants, but the eyes do not lie. Oh, red carpet. Oh my. Well, these are all pretty standard outfits. You know, I dress like this all the time. I wear my fur coat when I take my dog for a walk. This outfit right here, this, oops, there's right there. This one, now that makes you look like a Cylon, doesn't it? Battlestar Galactica. Zendaya, the Dune heroine, pushes the sci-fi envelope with a vintage cyborg suit from the late Thierry Mugler. I don't think I pronounced that right. It shows how uncultured I am. I can't afford fashion like that. And people, how do you walk in that? In those boots that come all the way up past your knees and it looks like they're made out of metal. Oh, there's Willie Nelson. He's, oh, yeah. He's in pain, so he's smoking weed. That's the story. Butter plucker. Gigantic horse rescued from soupy sinkhole. Yeah, guess it was a horse, got stuck in the mud. So they rescued the horse. And ladies and gentlemen, that is this week's edition of the National Enquirer. Now, the story you've all been waiting for. Sophie Gregoire Trudeau. Yeah. Don't go away. We've got the inside scoop.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Poor Justin Trudeau. Everywhere he goes. Oh, and I have to say, Johnny, 69, thank you so much for the $10 donation. Thank you, sir. Truly appreciate that. To buy more of the gossip papers. He likes that. Yeah. Well, there's lots of gossip surrounding Justin Trudeau, and more specifically his estranged wife, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau. She has written a book. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you the book. It's available for pre-order for anyone who wants to buy it. So there you go, Sophie. I'm giving you a plug. It's available on Amazon, of course. Here it is. Closer together, knowing ourselves, loving each other. Hardcover sells for $40.73. Available for pre-order. It will be delivered. It'll be delivered next month. As a passionate advocate for mental health, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau believes that in order to know and accept ourselves fully, we need to understand why we think and feel the way we do, and recognize the experiences, attitudes, and patterns that may be holding us back. And yet, all of us are capable of growth and positive change if we're willing to stay open and curious throughout our lives. In Closer Together, Sophie shares moments from her own journey, from her childhood through her struggles with an eating disorder in her teens and early adulthood, from her career as a speaker and television host to de facto First Lady and mother of three. So she's going to spill the beans on her time as First Lady, marriage to Justin Trudeau. Above all, Sophie is a warm and empathetic connector, and her book is enriched with exclusive interviews with experts such as Gabor Mate, Liz Plank, Terence Real, Catherine Price, Harville Hendricks, and Helen LaKelly Hunt, to name just a few, as she delves into the science behind brain health and our unique emotional signatures. She explores the questions that matter the most for our individual and collective growth. and in how we interact with others. But wait, there's more, because to promote this book, Sophie has been doing interviews and has is featured in, I believe it is Elle magazine. Yes, Elle magazine. A feature story on Sophie Gregoire Trudeau. Sophie Gregoire, the next chapter. With the upcoming release of her first book, which focuses on mental health, Sophie Gregoire is turning the page to a brighter future. What is that saying about her time as the de facto First Lady of Canada and her marriage to Justin Trudeau? You know, you would think that out of respect for JT, she would wait before publishing something like this. The Liberals are already sinking in the polls. They're way, way down. He's become the prime minister that everyone loves to hate. He's being swarmed by protesters at every turn. And now she comes out with a book and she's going to spill the beans on some of the most private aspects of their life together. Now, I don't know what's in the book, but in this article, I think we're going to get a hint, because she said here, what was it? I just need to look this up to get the wording correct. She says that women shouldn't expect the minimum. That's the headline that has been going around since this article dropped. Women shouldn't, settle for the minimum. Is that has to be a direct jab at Justin Trudeau, her estranged husband. It says so they talk about this, talks about the author setting the interview up, and this is the first thing I learned about Gregoire Trudeau. She feels very deeply, and her emotions are right there on the surface, ready to spill over and envelope those around her. Yeah, I think that Justin might just end up drowning in some of those emotions when the book finally is released. But it's not an uncomfortable feeling. On the contrary, it's very warm, sincere, and compassionate. She radiates an openness that immediately puts you at ease. She's like that friend everyone shares their secrets with. She's like that friend who comes to your home and immediately starts doing squats in the middle of the floor. Oh, okay, let's do some posing. All right, so, all right, go over there and squat down and lean back. That'll do it. That looks very natural. What? I don't get it. What? I don't get it. I've done some photography, but I don't know. I don't get that pose. Anyway, jacket and dress by Lemarangui, and the t-shirt is the stylist's own. Heels by Dolce & Gabbana. The ankle is by Jenny Bird. And the rings and the earrings by Gregoire Trudeau's own. Oh, she's got her own fashion line. Jewelry or something, maybe. And whether or not she has chosen to share, the events of the 48-year-old's life have also been very out in the open. That includes her 18-year marriage to and recent separation from Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The pair jointly announced the latter event on Instagram on August 2nd last year. Though their declaration became international news that spurred speculation and endless articles examining what went wrong, the split is something Gregoire Trudeau has declined to discuss in the media up until this point. Now she's spilling the beans. What she has always been willing to speak about, though, is what she sees as her life's purpose. Mental health advocacy. Yeah, we want to know about all this Justin Trudeau stuff. That's what we want to know about. So in her book, Closer Together, which explores self-knowledge, acceptance, and empowerment, is something that carries a lot of meaning for her. Honestly, she seems like, she'd probably be a nice person to kind of, I don't know, sit at a cafe with for a while and hang around, have chat, maybe. I don't know. But I wouldn't want to be married to her, or she would end up writing a book about you. The book first dives into Gregoire Trudeau's own life and experiences. And you would, she's going into an election. This has got to be like the worst time ever for a politician to have his wife, ex-wife, estranged wife, reveal personal information. In order to do a deep dive into the bigger issues in the book, Gregoire Trudeau interviewed world-renowned experts. Yeah, we know all that. Closer Together is full of information about how our bodies and brains work. Yeah. Part of the work was making the joint decision with Trudeau to end their marriage, it says, and publicly announce it. That particular day in August is a sensitive subject that Gregoire Trudeau wants to keep close to her chest, and with good reason. One can only imagine the fear that comes with unleashing that kind of information in a public forum. But she's going to do it anyway in her new book, at least to some degree, right before the election. I imagined the worst case scenario. I'll tell you that, she says carefully. I had to. I didn't want to be naive, but I also had to protect myself. And when the news went out, let's just say that we all stayed away from our phones. We were together as a family, and we held each other. Ugh. She's wearing a trench coat. Acme Studios at the Room at Hudson's Bay. Heels by Christian Louboutin. And earrings by Versace. Talks about being an only child. Talks about her father, Jean Gregoire, whom she describes in the book as the life of the party, successful stockbroker. Her teenage years. In the book, Gregoire Trudeau reveals a bit about their romance. Talking about Justin. It was during this period that she reconnected with Justin Trudeau, who was then studying engineering, when they co-hosted a charity event. Although she had known him growing up in high school, she was friends with his brother, Michel, who died in an avalanche in 1998. This time around, sparks flew. In the book, Gregoire Trudeau reveals a bit about their romance and how, on their first date in 2003, the conversation turned to deeper topics. And he looked at me with such intense presence that I knew something special was going on. He said, I'm 31 years old. I've been waiting for you for 31 years. Should we skip the girlfriend phase and start with fiancé? Ooh, is he smooth? They got engaged in 2004. They married in 2005. And by the time Trudeau became Prime Minister of Canada, like his father, Pierre, in 2015, they had 3 children under the age of 8. Oh my. Unlike being married to a head of state in some countries, being the spouse of the Canadian Prime Minister doesn't come with any official title, function, or office. But that didn't stop the family from having taxpayer money take care of some of their things. Regardless, many people still viewed Gregoire Trudeau as Canada's First Lady, though she says she never considered herself as such. She says, I always remind myself that it was an unofficial position to be in, so it was kind of like uncertain waters to navigate, she explains here. You do what you need to do. It's one foot in front of the other. There was no defined role or responsibilities, so it was clear to me that I was going to continue my path of focusing on mental health, eating disorders, and self-esteem. Talks about having a very young family. Oh, there she's wearing a metal dress. Dress and earrings by Versace. Love is a very important subject for the author. She dedicates a whole chapter of her book to love, relationships. with Justin Trudeau. How to understand one another and how to be vulnerable. That's why her and Trudeau's announcement was such a loaded decision. I feel her energy shift when I delicately ask, this is the author speaking of this article. I feel her energy shift when I delicately ask her what it was like going through the separation. Hard, she says, as if she's trying to swallow the word. I had to face the truth and choose authenticity over attachment. I'm a family woman. Family is everything to me because I'm an only child. So the thought of breaking that mold or transforming that mold, even the words we would use to describe relationships, it's either success, stay together, or failure, and you go your separate paths. We really need to develop a new vocabulary for human beings as we transform on our own paths. In short, they failed. This is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. The book we will no doubt reveal more. The juicy tidbits, the details that will no doubt haunt Justin for an extended news cycle during an election cycle as we prepare to go to the polls within probably the next year. Now, in a new phase, the former couple, it says here, understand each other a lot better. But they also did a tremendous amount of work to get to that point. You do develop more empathy, says Grégoire Trudeau, of forming a different type of relationship with an ex-partner and co-parent. And that doesn't mean it hurts less, but you take things less personally because you understand human functioning better. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. You know, I feel, you don't like to see anybody's marriage break up, and you don't like to see kids caught in the middle of stuff. I know a lot of people have such distaste for Justin these days that they probably don't care what happens to him, but I don't wish ill will on anybody. What I don't understand, honestly, is why Sophie would do this. Now, maybe what's in the book won't be as bad as I think it's going to be, but any little bit in that book is just going to inflict more damage on an already damaged man at a time when he can ill afford it. Oh well. They brought it upon themselves. So, sympathy? In this case, I have none. I don't wish ill will, but I can't sit here and shed a single tear for self-inflicted damage. So ends a very strange episode of TRUESPIRACIES. And with that, that gets us to the close of the evening. Just a reminder that if you like the work we do here, you can support the channel by donating at maverickdonations.com. You can also support the show over at freedomreporters.com. If you haven't liked, shared, subscribed, please consider doing that. It would certainly help us out if you subscribed over on Rumble or even on our YouTube channels. We're running tonight on 3 YouTube channels. You can use the support just through the subscriptions, which don't cost you anything. Just subscribe. Just hit the subscription button on those channels. It doesn't cost a thing. If you're over on YouTube, make sure you hit the notification bell so that you receive the notifications by email when we put out new videos, which is every night right here on the Maverick News channel at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Most nights, anyway, 99% of the time. On an occasion, we start a little later at 7 p.m. Eastern. But it's been an interesting broadcast tonight. I hope you enjoyed our Truespiracies episode. We had some fun stories in there, and I think in the end we kind of ended on a bit of a downer, but that's okay. I think such is the Trudeau saga as it continues. Going to be more on that story, I'm sure, next month when the book is finally released. Might have to get me a copy and do a full review for you next month. And with that being said, folks, it's time to wrap it up here on the Maverick News Channel for tonight. Love you all. Catch you back here tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.